Hey everyone, and welcome back to Stogie Review. And for this review, I'm doing the new Davidoff Winston Churchill in the Churchill size. I know what you're thinking. The Winston Churchill is not a new cigar, but for Davidoff it kind of is. The original release of the Winston Churchill wasn't truly a Davidoff cigar. It was in the Davidoff stable, but it was kind of really its own brand. And not only that, but it was a totally different blend than what we have today. The old Winston Churchill had an Ecuadorian special sun-grown wrapper with a Dominican binder from Yamasa and a 5-blend Dominican filler that we kind of don't know exactly what it is. Well, this new version, as you can see, it has a different wrapper. If you ever saw the older Winston Churchills, which I don't have any more of those to actually show you, but you can see the band a little bit better there. It says Winston Churchill. And I thought it said Davidoff somewhere on there, but yeah, well, the side's right there. But you can see it's got the silhouette of Winston Churchill on there. Now, this blend actually gives some pretty good information about exactly what this new blend is. The wrapper is Ecuadorian Rojiza, if I said that right. The binder is cedar Negro from Mexico. The filler is Piloto, Mejorado, Seco, Piloto Seco, Harbor Olor Piloto Seco, and those are all from Dominican Republic. And from Nicaragua we have Esteli Seco and Condegas Seco. So pretty interesting little blend, a little bit of a mix. So considering, you got some Nicaraguan tobacco in there, along with the San Andreas Mexican binder, it should be a little bit stronger and, to me, more tasty. But anyway, let's get a look at this cigar. Let's show what it looks like, so we can see the wrapper there. I mean, it's a nice wrapper. It's a lot. To me, it's darker than the original. Let's see if I can get the cap in there. Whoops. There we go. Nice little sheen to it. And there's the, I don't know if it'll focus on the foot exactly. Nope. No, anyway. Can't really see that. But this actually comes in 4 different sizes. The Churchill, which is, let's see, what is it? 6 7/8 by 47 ring gauge. It comes with a Robusto, which is 5 1/4 by 52. Petite Corona, which is supposed to be the little powerhouse of the whole line, is a 4 1/2 by 41 ring gauge, and a Toro, which is a 6 by 54 ring gauge. Now, for me, I've smoked all the sizes, and actually, last month I was actually down in Dominican Republic at the Davidoff factory doing a tour there with other retailers and stuff, and they actually brought this cigar out in the last 2 days. So, and also they sent me a pack, a Davidoff the Churchill sampler pack. We have one of each one on it. And I wasn't able to get through that entire pack before I went down there. While I was down there, I was able to smoke a lot from each different size. The Petite Corona is definitely the more powerful of the bunch. But for me, the one that I enjoyed the most was a Churchill. And we'll go a little bit more deeper into that as the review goes on. But let me go ahead and cut this cigar, and we'll check the draw out. The draw is perfect. I mean, it's a Davidoff, so construction is going to be pretty spot on. I mean, and the draw is just right there. It's just like I like say that milkshake draw, kind of like when you drink a milkshake through a straw. That resistance you usually get from that. That's what I want in a cigar, and this nails that too. The pre-light draw, the flavors I get is basically just earthy and leather. Real rich flavors, but anyway, that doesn't really matter. What matters is after you light it up. So I'm gonna give this thing a toast here. Now I know the original Winston Churchills, a lot of people I know tried them, and you either really loved them or you really hated them. To me, I was kind of more on the hate side, even though that was kind of too bit of a strong word. To me, they were just a little bit too mild for me. There wasn't just enough there. But, and it's not to say I don't like mild cigars, but to me, if you're going to be mild, you got to bring a lot to the flavor side. And it kind of just didn't have that for me. It felt a little bit flat. These do not. I mean, right off the bat, you can see that it gives off a lot of smoke, which it's always pleasing to me. I like to have a cigar that I could pull a lot of smoke out of, and not just a little wisp here and there. But what I get on the palate, I get that pepper. I can taste that little bit of that pepper, that spice from the cigar. And Houston kind of Hinky Kellner gave a seminar, a tasting somewhere while we were down there. It's a little bit different than what we kind of used to up here. Whereas we give kind of flavors that you either taste or kind of like when you taste the cigar, it's just kind of like things what it reminds you of, that it tastes similar to, or something like that. Like, you know, cedar or oak or chocolate, leather, earth, whatever. I mean, no, people don't, most people have never ate leather, or they've not ate earth, but you know what it's like. You've smelled it before, and most of the taste is smell. So when you walk into a place like a store that has fine leather goods, that aroma of all that leather, or like if you're taking a hike in the woods, that smell of the wet earth and whatever, you know what that smells like. And that kind of brings back, when you taste it like a cigar, taste something, it kind of give you a little image in your head of what you think it is. But with Hinky, it's pretty much, you got, bitter, salty, acidic, and spicy. That's all in your palate. Now, going off just that, this cigar is very balanced. I mean, I get a little bit of saltiness and acidity, so my mouth is watering. So I'm getting a lot of it basically is making me salivate, so I'm getting a lot of flavors from it. And there's a slight bitterness to it, but not very much. To me, it's actually probably more a little bit more salty than the acidity. I get more of the saltiness than the acidity, and very little hint of bitterness, but it's kind of in the background that kind of ties it all together. But for kind of an Americanized palate, or way we do it here, I get a nice sweetness. And you get that right off the bat, and it's like a nice. I get that leathery note to it, but I get a nice sweetness. I get a little bit of a nuttiness too, but that sweetness, it's like a very smooth sweetness. It's not kind of in your face. It's not too over the top. It's almost kind of like a slightly creamy, if that makes sense. It's kind of almost like sweet cream, but more sweet than the creaminess of it. But it's a very interesting flavor that I get on this cigar. And the retro, I'll actually get more of the sweetness than I do anything. There is a little bit of black pepper. I get a little bit of spice on it. And there actually is a little bit of saltiness that I get with that too. Yeah, there's a nice sweet creamy note there that I get that. It's really strong with the nuttiness and the woody flavor. I get a nice little woody flavor there too. But I'm actually picking up a little bit more pepper across my palate now as I'm kind of burning a little bit more into it. So I'm actually going to smoke this to probably about the halfway point, and I'll be back to let you know how it is. See you in a second. Hey everybody, I'm back, and I'm right about the midway point now. A lot of what I get out of this cigar right now is I get a little bit of that sweetness, but it's not as strong as it was in the beginning. I still get that nuttiness too. It's like roasted nuts, and I do get the leatheriness of it too, which is kind of funny. I didn't really notice this until after I cut off the camera from last time, but this is the second page of the press release that came out with the samples that they sent myself and several other cigar bloggers. And I was reading actually about the Churchill. They actually have, I don't know if you can see it probably on the camera there, but they have below the size and the Vitola name, they kind of give a little description. It's kind of funny. It says, the body of the cigar is very pleasant with a mouthful of smoke that delivers beautiful flavors of chili pepper and cedar wood in the beginning, leather and roasted flavors in the second third. Finishes off with the creamy and nutty notes. Which usually, I don't know, sometimes they're usually kind of vague or they're not really accurate. They kind of tell you what you should be getting in the cigar, not exactly what you would get a cigar. But that's exactly what I got in the very beginning of the cigar, and I'm still getting it now. Like it was saying, the second third is leather and roasted flavors, and I get that. To me, I get it's kind of like the leather note on this cigar is kind of the base flavor with a little bit of sweetness, that hint of pepper that I get that. It's not as strong, but I still actually feel in the back of my palate right now, which kind of usually I would expect it to be stronger in the beginning and kind of fade away, but it hasn't really faded as much as I thought it would. That I get that the nuttiness and that roastedness that they're talking about, to me, kind of reminds me of, like, you know, I don't know, kind of like roasted nuts like you would get at a state fair or whatever, something like that. It's kind of that's what popped in my head whenever I was thinking about it. So they're pretty much right on with their description of this cigar. It's an excellent smoking cigar. I'm really enjoying this, and like I said, I've actually probably a little bit past the halfway point, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna finish this cigar off, and I'll be back to give you my conclusion. I'll see you in a second. Everybody, I'm back. See, I'm at the very end of the cigar. Now, on this part of the cigar, I get a little bit something different than what they describe at the end of the cigar. They claim that it finishes off with a creamy and nutty notes. I don't get any of the creaminess at all at the end of the cigar. Mainly what I get in the end of it is I get a little bit more of that pepperness that I got in the beginning. Is kind of making a comeback. I get a strong woody flavor, and I'm getting a little bit more of that leather too. It's finishing really nice. It's actually, to me, at the end of the cigar, it seems to have ramped up a little bit in power. I'll probably say this cigar, it's been probably medium plus to the lower end of full on the cigar. It's been a very tasty cigar. I've really enjoyed this. Now, out of all of the Vitolas, the Churchill is by far my favorite, just because to me it has more of a balance of flavors in it than the other ones do. And also on this one, like I said, I get that sweet creaminess in the Churchill that I don't really get in the other ones. I get a little bit in the Toro, but not as like I do in the Churchill. To me, the Churchill is the perfect Vitola in this entire line. And this Winston Churchill version is by far much better than the original Winston Churchill. Now, if you tried the original Winston Churchill and you was kind of like me, you thought it was a little bit kind of flat and a little bit too mild, this is a total departure from that. It is a totally new cigar from the get-go. I mean, it's nothing. The only thing that's the same from the original blend is the name, Winston Churchill. Nothing else. This is a very, very, very good cigar. I can't remember the price point off the top of my head, but I know it's actually much cheaper than the rest of the Davidoff line. I'll actually put it in the write-up portion of this review, because I actually forgot to look that up before I actually came on camera. But to me, this is probably, out of all the Davidoff cigars, this is going to be one of my favorites out of the entire Davidoff line. I really, really enjoy this. And because it is much cheaper than the rest of the Davidoff, it's one that you can really smoke way more often than you can like some of the other Davidoffs in the line that are, you know, 17, 20, 25 bucks a piece. This one, I can't remember, but I'm wanting to say that I think the it's the same price point as the Nicaraguas. So it's kind of in that same price point. And if I remember right, the Churchill, I think, is like $13, $14 or whatever, and I would gladly pay that for this cigar. This is an exquisite cigar. It's got a ton of flavor, smokes great. Of course, the construction is great. It's a Davidoff, but it is an amazing cigar. Now, speaking of the Nicaraguans, if you like the Nicaraguan line, this is going to be right up your alley too, because it's kind of in the same vein as the Nicaraguans, more than the rest of the Davidoff line. It's more full-bodied. It's got more more fuller flavor than some of the other Davidoffs. Like with the Davidoff, you got a ton of flavor, but it's more subtle. I mean, you got to kind of be paying attention to to the Davidoff as you smoke it, because all of their flavors are kind of subtle. You got to kind of really pay attention to get some of the flavors, otherwise you'll miss them. But this one has got flavor that just comes right at you. I mean, not saying you shouldn't enjoy this, sit down and really enjoy the cigar. You really should, but to me, this cigar is an amazing new step for Davidoff. I'm really liking the way they're going with the Nicaragua and now this. Not only because they're more full-bodied than the rest of the line, so it's appealing to a whole different type of smoker that Davidoff hasn't really reached yet, but because the price point is so much cheaper, you're actually introducing the Davidoff brand to a whole segment of smokers that really they haven't never really approached before. And I'm really enjoying this, kind of where they're going with this. And I mean, if you've seen the news, some of the cigar news lately, you've noticed, or you saw or read that they've bought new farms and all that in Nicaragua and in Honduras as well. So they're really ramping up what they're doing in Honduras and Nicaragua. So you'll be seeing a lot more stuff like the Davidoff Nicaragua and the Winston Churchill, which uses, a good portion of Nicaraguan tobacco. This cigar, to me, is an amazing, amazing cigar. If I made the list now, it would definitely be in my top 10 of the year. That's how much I enjoyed these. Literally, whenever we were in the Dominican Republic, and they had like a little humidor there that we towed around with us where we went, that was full of all kinds of different things. But once they put the Winston Churchills in, I mean, I gravitated toward it the most. Every time I saw the Churchill in the Winston Churchill line, I always grabbed that smoke. And a lot of the other people did too once they put them in there. I mean, like I said, we could smoke anything pretty much we wanted, but we kept smoking the Winston Churchill line just because it has so much flavor. It was great anytime, the day or the night, whatever we were doing. It was always a good smoke, So this is definitely one I wholeheartedly recommend. You really need to check this cigar out, because it's literally to me, it's one of the best of all the Nicaraguan. I mean, all the Davidoffs that's out to me. I mean, like I said, because of the flavor and the price point, it's almost a no-brainer. So if you're a fan of the Davidoffs, you definitely need to check this out because it's different than what you're probably used to. And if you're new to Davidoff and you liked what they brought out with the Davidoff Nicaragua, you definitely need to check this out because it's along that same line. But to me, it's a little bit more skewed towards the, typical Davidoff kind of flavor profile a little bit more than the Nicaragua was. So it's kind of a nice little bridge between what they brought out with the Nicaragua and what they have with the regular Davidoff line. So it's a really, really good smoke. Definitely check these out. And another thing too, aging potential on these cigars, I think is really, really good. I would love to actually set up some of these down and come back to them, a year or 2 or 3 later, because I really think they would even develop even more. I mean, it get even more smooth, more well-rounded than they are now. And there's no harshness to the cigar whatsoever. Even with, a lot of Nicaraguan tobaccos and Nicaraguan cigars, like when, for instance, move back up a little bit. When I smoke a Davidoff cigar, I don't really get that kind of that ashtray feeling in my mouth. Like, kind of like my palate had just got assaulted by strong tobaccos and stuff like that. I mean, I like some of the stronger Nicaraguan stuff, but I know that I need to smoke that later in the day because usually when I smoke the stronger Nicaraguan cigars, after that, my kind of a palate's pretty much, been disrupted. So I'm not going to be able to pick up, like, there's no way I can take, like, say, like a Cro-Magnon or a Liga Privada and then smoke a Davidoff after it because I won't get half the stuff out of the Davidoff. But to me, when I smoke a Davidoff, I have a clean palate afterwards. I don't wake up the next morning and still taste cigar on my palate. Even if after I brush my teeth and all that stuff. That's why I can say a Davidoff's clean. These are stronger because they got that Nicaraguan tobacco in it. It's got more of that full flavor, that more in your face flavor, and you get a lot more flavor profile, in the palate and all that. It's still clean though, and I really enjoy that. And it's also not as full bodied. I mean, don't expect something as strong as any of those other Nicaraguan cigars either. It's not that strong compared to those, but for a Davidoff, it's pretty potent. But it's definitely one, I think it's going to really catch on. I think it's going to be a huge seller for Davidoff for a long time to come. Just because, like I said, the flavor's there, price point there. It has the Davidoff quality. Everything about it just screams winner. So I definitely think at the end of the year, I'd be surprised if you don't see several of these, several top 10 lists come out and these will be on there. Whether it's somebody it's like me, like the Churchill, that's a little bit less powerful, a little bit more fuller flavor, a little bit more medium bodied to the full, or like the little petite Corona, which is a little powerhouse. It kind of reminds me of like the Opus X Power Ranger, how that is. It's kind of what that little petite Corona kind of reminds me of. Not the flavor profile, but how it acts. Like how that one, the Power Ranger is such a much stronger, to me, much stronger Opus X. That's the way that little petite Corona is. You got the Toro and the Robusto is kind of somewhere in the middle of it. Where they're a little bit more, say, a little bit more spicier. But this one, I like that sweet creaminess about it. That roasted nuts, the leather, the cedar, the earthiness about it. And the little bit of saltiness I got from the very beginning. That, to me, is a really great flavor profile for this cigar. I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too, so definitely check them out. And if you've had it, let me know in the comments what you thought about it too, and how you see this in the Davidoff stable. Like, do you think it fits, or do you think it's a great new addition, or a misstep? What do you think? I personally think it's a great addition to their line. It's just something different from what they usually do, but still has that Davidoff flair to it. So anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think. And on that note, I'll see y'all next time.